This video is actually something I've been wanting to watch for a while. It's called The History of League of Legends Airport Any Percentage Speedruns. So essentially, this video is going to be talking about the teams that lost the fastest going into like at Worlds, the teams that ended up doing the airport speedrun the fastest. And I believe that I'm up here, bro. I think I set one of the records, the early records in League for airport speedruns, because there used to only be 3-game group stage. So three games into airport was pretty insane. Let's see it. Bro, I love 8-bit and like this type of music. I don't know. It always hypes me up for videos.
The League of Legends World Championship has a strange problem. This problem has nothing to do with the gameplay, the graphics, the music, or anything like that. No, the problem is with the championship's format, at least for speedrunners. You see, it can be hard to complete a speedrun of a game when only one team can win every year. This led to speedrunners attempting categories for everything other than winning the championship title. These speedruns quickly became far more entertaining and far more competitive than those on the way to the trophy. Last year, we covered the history of the classic airport speedrun, though the 6-game format has since been retired and a large portion of the runners have moved on to other categories. Okay. So this time, we're going to discuss what has historically been the second most popular category in the League of Legends airport speedrun, the category for those who want to get the fastest time by any means necessary. This is the history of the League of Legends.
Why is he doing it like this?
World Championship, Airport Any Percent.
Banger. Maybe move our camera bottom right for it. I love the intro. Oh, whoops. Nice moving that. There we go.
In 2017, Riot began using a play-in stage to give more teams a chance to progress to the main event. This necessitated the creation of the Any Percent category, as the community was worried that Riot's tendency to sporadically change formats would only get worse in the play-in stage. As such, up until 2017, the Any Percent world record would have been the same as the classic airport world record, and since we've already covered that, we'll be skipping everything from 2016 and before. All we need to know at this point then is that the current record is held by Europe's H2K Gaming, who set a record of 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 54 seconds back in 2015.
Damn! 3 hours, bro. 3 hours? That's 6 games. 6 games, 3 hours. Honestly, that's a pretty long time. They survived over 30 minutes a game for 6 games. Like, that's a pretty long time. I mean, the League of Legends, it was hard to lose much faster than that back in the day because there wasn't grubs in the game. Dragon Soul didn't exist for a long period of time, so it was hard to end games faster than that if people really turtled it out. But in recent times, this is going to get shattered just based on changes to the game. So it's a good place to start, bro. I like it.
The start of the 2017 World Championship was an exciting time, as the play-in stage had one team from every region participating. For the first time ever, all regions were starting on a level playing field. The first run submitted for the new format came from the LCL's Gambit Esports. Gambit knew they had the opportunity to quickly make history, so they put together a simple yet effective run, going 0-4 in their group. The games themselves did show some expert airport speedrun tech, such as Diamondprox saving Giral from certain death by using Grag Assault to knock him away and into the safety of the rest of Lion Gaming. Then in Game 2, Diamondprox found a decent time save by using a cane shortcut. This was done by ulting to hitch a ride into WE's whole team at a faster pace than you could just by pathing there directly. Gambit also used the classic Baron skip to allow their opponents to push down their base much faster than usual.
Nice.
However,
I don't know why the
if
bot
one
just
player stood
decided
out
to
during
ban
this
everyone.
run, it would have to be
cool.
PvP Stayhouse, Gambit's top laner. Stayhouse evidently must have had some vendetta against Lion Gaming's Giral, as in their games, he opted into both sides of the Camille Jax matchup. By playing both sides of the matchup, he could prove definitively which of the two of them were the better speedrunner, assuming of course he could lose both games in a reasonable amount of time, which he certainly could. The final game of the run had Gambit playing at their best. From drafting Nunu support to walking face first into a very visible gank, Gambit was funneling WE with surgical precision.
What the f Why is he walking into the guy on a ward?
One of Gambit's more bold strategies in this game was Kira rushing a 0-5 Yasuo power spike. This would generally be advised against, since any solo queue Yasuo would tell you that this is where Yasuo is at his strongest, but Gambit was taking a no-win line. While definitely risky, the results speak for themselves, and giving over a 14k gold lead at 20
This is the best video already. I fucking love it, man. I fucking love it.
minutes is something most airport speedrunners could only dream of. In the end, Gambit submitted a commanding run of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 34 seconds, firmly taking the record
Oh my god, look at that ult.
for themselves.
Holy shit, how fucking bad were people in 2017, bro? That's a fucking pro player on a top 3 Chinese team in 2017.
Most airport speedrunners could only dream of.
Bro, look at this ult.
In the end, Gambit submitted
2017. This is a pro player in 2017.
a commanding run of 2 hours, 1
Look at it. Look at it.
minute, and 34 seconds,
What the f is that, bro?
firmly taking the record for themselves.
Holy shit, how fucking bad are people at this video game?
Later that same day, the OPL's Dire Wolves submitted their own run.
Oh, whatever happened to Fantix? Didn't he have some wait, what was Fantix drama? Fantix? I don't want to say the wrong thing. I thought it wasn't he pretending to be like a 14-year-old German boy or something? Or was that somebody else? Fly Richard drama. What was the drama about him? Allegations. What were the allegations? He was pretending to be a 14-year-old German boy to contact a girl who was 17 while he was 24 and 25. Nice. And I guess this was just the end of him, bro. Like, he just never came back after this, or what? He's just done. This is the end of his life, essentially. The end of his career. See, back then, the thing is, what? He would have been like what? Like 17, 18? Actually, he was probably 19, 20 back then. Never mind. And he's not even
Dire
German.
Wolves
I don't
went for a
understand,
riskier route, electing to win one of their games. This strategy is a high-risk, high-reward one in the airport any percent, due to the fewer number of games one needs to play to get eliminated. For players that are confident in their abilities, taking the game into their own hands by stomping their opponents can be a major time save. But do Direwolves have the skills to back up their confidence? Yes.
Okay. It's just them running it down. How the fuck do I remember that, bro? I just remember everything. I don't know why. Like, my league memory is
this strategy granted
probably one of my best characteristics. Like, and one of my best qualities when it comes to being a co-streamer is my league memory.
Direwolves a very quick 25-minute and 20-second game. However, in the end, this plan would prove to be their undoing. When the group stage concluded,
also just weird shit like that, it's so weird to me that it just stays with me. Like, when somebody is talking to he pretended to be a 14-year-old German boy to flirt with a 17, like, it's so like fucking crazy to me that I just will remember it forever.
Direwolves got the worst news any airport speedrunner could get. Because of their win, they would have to play a dreaded tiebreaker, and to add insult to injury, it would be against the very team that they beat to get there.
Damn.
They put up a good performance, securing a 29-minute and 29-second game, but that would bring their total runtime up to 2 hours, 26 minutes.
Who the f was one, by the way?
A dreaded
what team was one? Was this a Latin American team, or where was one even from? Or was this no? This is Brazilian. Redbird, bro. That's a Brazilian team. They lost to Brazil.
They would have secured a sub 2 hour run, something not seen since the days of the 3-game format of
the
classic category. 2 days after Direwolves failed to get the record, Japan's Rampage would submit their own run.
Okay.
To start off, they almost achieved a perfect game against the LMS's Hong Kong Attitude, getting no dragons, heralds, towers, or barons, and only getting a single kill at the end when their ADC knocked the enemy Xayah into Rampage's fountain with Tristana ult.
Okay.
In the next game, they drafted Rex.
That's bad for the speedrun, though. Killing the enemy AD when you're going for an airport speedrun and you're trying to lose as fast as possible, it's really bad to kill the AD because the AD is going to do the most damage to structures. So Kind of misplay there from Rampage, I would say.
Side. A champ that had just had her core feature of flashing in to knock up the entire enemy team gutted, showing their advanced knowledge of the current meta. This roster really was something special, with Ramane and Tussle perfectly giving over first blood in the 3 games up to that point. While it's easy to focus on those two, the rest of the team should also be commended. Like Evie, who some might think is a strange player to have for an airport speedrun team, as he's better known for being a top tier player and maybe even the GOAT of the LJL. But Evie has definitely proven himself to be able to balance being both the GOAT and an airport speedrunner. Game 4 was definitely the shakiest part of their run.
He was trying to do an airport speedrun. Bro, he was doing airport speedruns even in the LEC, bro. That's unheard of, bro. Airport speedruns in the LEC. He got that done.
Ramane actually took first blood for himself this game, and it looked like Rampage were trying to force out a quick win to cap out their run. This would be a genius play, as at this point, they had made sure that they would not be in danger of having to play a tiebreaker, effectively eliminating the risk associated with this technique. However, not all would go as planned, and in a comedy of errors, Rampage seems to have either misplayed or decided that the quick win strategy wasn't going to work, so they gave the Herald over to the enemy team. But Rampage miscalculated, as their opponents forgot to pick up the Herald's eye.
No way, bro. This might be the GOAT content creator, bro. This guy might be the GOAT content creator. Like, putting out a video like this, as somebody who makes my own long form videos, being able to like research all this shit and find these fucking moments, this is like unreal dedication. This is the guy I could f with, bro. He's the one that deserves all the viewership, not the people that are not people like me that are doing like co-streaming highlights and low effort bullshit like that, bro. This guy deserves the viewership.
Team. But Rampage miscalculated, as their opponents forgot to pick up the Herald's eye.
The comedy, it's all hitting for me, bro. It's all hitting for me. I respect this.
Meaning that they wouldn't be able to use it to end the game faster. This misplay destroyed the tempo of the game, though some decent time saves around Baron fights allowed Rampage to end the game at 35 minutes and 46 seconds. Although this was by far their worst game time, their earlier work paid off. With no tiebreaker to ruin it, Japan's Rampage secured a 1 hour, 54 minute, and 38 second run, the first sub 2 hour of the format, and the new airport 80% world record.
Damn, that's a big one. Holy.
2018 seemed to pick up right where 2017 ended, with Chaos Latin Gamers submitting the first run of the year, having tried and failed to beat Rampage's record the year before. With a new top laner and knowledge of their past mistakes, KLG came out swinging in their first game against GRX. Their run mostly revolved around crazy force teamfights mid, and to cap it off, a beautiful stack in front of a Gragas Yasuo with ults up, something even silver players know is a sure way to die. 2 sub 25 minute games looked promising for the CLS team, but following up with 2 games over 30 minutes long meant in the end they only got a 2 hour and 37 second run, 6 minutes behind the world record. Next up was Brazil's Kaboom Esports, a team that held the classic airport speedrun world record for a year back in 2014, now trying their hands at the any percent category. In their second game of the run, KBM found themselves up against Detonation Focus Me, who weren't submitting a run that year. Kaboom's strategy revolved around feeding Iwdominate kills early and shutdowns later, allowing him to basically complete the run for them. Their investment paid off when Iwdominate managed to steal Baron.
The thing is, it's like, you really don't want to pick Tristana when you're going for... Well, I mean, Tristana's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good lose-fast champion, but it's much better if they have a Tristana. Like, you inting a Tristana will make sure the game ends pretty fucking fast. So I think that this is misplay from Kaboom. I think that if they want to have a real airport speedrun, they should give over the Tristana and then play Varus themselves.
While one-shotting Titan, securing a decent 29-minute and 45-second loss.
Like, you go Vayne into Tristana, that could be an angle.
However, the rest of KBM's run didn't go particularly well, with them failing to secure another sub 30-minute game for the rest of the run. And because of the quick win strategy they went for in Game 3, they were forced to play out a tiebreaker match, which ended their run at 2 hours, 33 minutes, and 38 seconds.
Horrible time.
Nowhere even close to the record. The next team to try their hand at taking the record would be from Southeast Asia, a region known for its dominance in the classic category in its early days.
Yo, Tarbok,
however,
thank you for the 5
this team
gifted.
in particular was fairly unknown, having never submitted a run in either category before. They were called Ascension, and soon all airport speedrunners would know them. Ascension's style focused mainly on filling their games with smart speedrunners.
Where are they even from? What region are they even from? Because they have a white guy on the team.
It's fairly
unknown. From some like Asian region.
Having never submitted a run.
Wait, do they not have a white guy? Is that guy not white?
From South River, they were called Ascension.
Is this guy not white?
And soon,
they imported a Russian guy into the, what was it, PCS? Into the PCS? What the f?
All airport speedrunners would know them. Ascension's style focused mainly on filling their games with small 1 or 2 person fights to make sure they were constantly trickling gold, either directly to the enemy or by building up their own bounties to give out later. In fact, Ascension averages one of the highest kills per minute and deaths per minute in the category. And when it comes to their endgame, few are as consistent. Like when 4 of them died at mid-tier 2 to end their game against Supermassive, securing a time of 29 minutes and 33 seconds. A very solid time to start the run. But could they keep this pace? Oh yes.
Well, I thought GBM was so ass. You know, I passed up, I told this story before, but I passed up playing with Impact on NRG just because I thought GBM was so ass.
Then some. Their second game was against European powerhouse G2. Normally an easier setup for runners from wildcard regions, this run was trickier than most. Due to G2's unorthodox gameplay decisions, Ascension found themselves winning more fights than expected. Many would expect top-tier speed
Yanko's Camille was just not it. He just was not a good Camille jungle player.
Runners to accept their fate and transition.
Yanko's Camille, Yanko's Kiata, I just remember. What is Yanko's? Okay, Yanko's Games of Legends. What's his Camille win rate? You know, I shouldn't be flaming a potential leaked alleged player of mine next year. Season 8 Camille, 50% win rate with 4 games.
Position to a quick win strat, even if it is risky. But Ascension doubled down on their strengths. From tower diving into a recon, to opting into a 1v3 in the jungle with no allies around, to pulling off a god tier Baron skip that leads into a double push to end the game, Ascension's line was immaculate. In the end, despite G2's efforts,
damn, wait, that line is actually insane.
In the jungle with no allies around, to pulling off a god tier Baron skip that leads into a double push to end the game, Ascension's line was immaculate. In the end, despite G2's efforts, Ascension not only lost, but did so in just 26 minutes and 46 seconds, a legendary split that could certainly never be replicated. Right? Well, Game 3 started with Lloyd blowing Flash and Rich giving over First Blood only 4 minutes in, and 5 minutes after that, they gave over a triple and first tower bot.
Nice.
The speedrunners I see in my solo queue games could only dream of a run like this. Later, during a team fight, Nixar gets J4 ulted, and instead of flashing back towards his team as most players do instinctively, he flashes forward into 3 enemies. And later, while fighting players do instinctively, he gets J4 ulted, and instead of flashing back towards his team as most players do instinctively, he flashes forward.
I mean, he did kill the Varus. Low key, that is probably the correct play in the situation.
Forward into 3 enemies. And later, while fighting over Drag, Ascension finds an amazing time save.
Oh,
this
great
play
time
allows
save.
Supermassive to start up Baron, where G4 also conveniently dies to a Thresh auto. With Baron buff given over and a few more tactical deaths, Ascension manages to complete a
26, bro. 26 versus Supermassive. That is well done by them.
27-minute and 13-second game.
That's insane.
This really was looking like a god run, but surely they couldn't keep up these numbers. Thankfully, all they needed was for Game 4 to be anything sub 30 minutes to secure the record. They can do it. They can do it versus G2. The thing is, I don't know. Versus G2, is G2 gonna? I don't know, bro. Came down to their final game against G2. To start, they drafted an interesting pick in Vayne.
That's so good for the speedrun, bro. That's insane for the speedrun. That is a crazy angle for the speedrun. Vayne Pike. That is great for speedrunning.
Stylish champ for Nixar to finish off the run with. Though it's Lloyd that starts everything off by giving a quick and simple first blood over to Yankos. Not wanting to be left out, G4 performs a highly technical play, transferring Yankos' red buff over to Wonder so he can stomp Rocky even harder in lane. Then they manage to give first tower bot by
Kassadin Vayne is immaculate angle here, bro. Kassadin Vayne for speedrunning, it's crazy.
11 minutes, and by 12, they nicely leashed first dragon for G2. The game still wasn't perfect, with a shaky tower dive securing a 1-for-2 trade, but not in the best time. But by mid-game, Ascension pulled out a masterpiece, starting a teamfight by Baron that resulted in Hjarnan getting a triple kill, putting the AD carry ahead of Nixar by 4k gold, and with that, the game was as good as over. One more by-the-books teamfight led to G2 securing Baron and then closing out the game in 26 minutes and 38 seconds, Ascension's fastest split in the run. In total, they managed
a world record right there.
Put together a run of just 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 10 seconds.
This gets beat? People can beat this?
The new any% world record by a solid 4 minutes. The final run of the year would come from Direwolves. With a revamped roster, they were looking to make up for their disastrous time.
Bro, some of these guys were so ass, bro. Because I played with a lot of these guys in OCE. Bro, OCE was so incredibly ass. It is insane. Like, I played on their server for a month and a half. I had 2 accounts in the top 10 while streaming, no delay. And I was getting hour-long queues ever since I was like Diamond 1. Like, it was one of the most insane things ever, bro. Playing on this server was fucking crazy.
Tiebreaker run from the previous year, and this time they had a completely unique strategy. You see, to get their spot at Worlds, Direwolves relied a lot on their star jungler, Schernfire. However, leading up to the tournament, they had Schernfire get a competitive ruling that would forbid him from playing their first 2 games. This allowed them to use a sub in Udisoft, a rookie to the speedrunning.
And Udisoft, he dislocated his arm on stream one time, I'm pretty sure, a while back.
They hoped that this would be the key
to losing. I have way too much random knowledge of bullshit that doesn't matter. Holy
the tournament quickly, but things were definitely a little shaky. They seemed to be unsure of whether they should try for another quick win strat or go for the safer no-win line. They appeared to decide on the no-win line, shown by them drafting a very aggressive early jungler with late scaling carries in mid and top. This was clearly a play at anti-synergy, yet the rookie in Udisoft seemed to actually be trying to win, using his ult to peel for his team,
and he just wasn't used to playing
as he died. Regardless, by the late game, they seemed to have figured out their plan, and managed to finish off their quick win. But the game ended up going over 34 minutes. Definitely
That's so
not
hard
a good
to come back from, right? Because you got to play 4 games. You got to get like 20s back-to-back, bro. 20-minute losses back-to-back. It's really hard.
Pace. Game 2 started off even worse, with First Blood only coming in after 10 minutes in game. They had a few decent plays, like trading 2 inhib turrets for a single kill, but you could see their desperation, especially when attempting the most obvious bait of all time. Direwolves did manage a beautiful ending to their game, trading Nexus for Baron, and even managing to give away the Baron anyways. Okay. But with a game time of 33 minutes,
they're already cooked, bro. That's already... They have 2 games to play. Now they need 40 minutes on 2 games. They're ready.
Direwolves needed a miracle for their final 2 games. They tried subbing back in Schernfire, and while he did manage to lose game 4 in just 24 minutes and 6 seconds, it was too little, too late. Direwolves would get a time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 26 seconds. Despite Udisoft trying his best, he just couldn't make it happen. But he does have great taste in YouTube videos. So 2018 would conclude with Ascension definitively holding the any % world record.
Yeah,
but with many teams hungrily eyeing that title,
no
one assumed they'd hold it for long. And they couldn't have been more wrong. "2019 started off with some familiar faces and Detonation focused me. Evie was here looking to take back his record, and the run started out solid in Game 1 versus Europe's Splice. DFM picked the controversial Nocturne mid, something only Vedius could love, but with the potential to allow quick and tactical ints across the map, it could definitely pay off. And it did. Throughout the game, the Nocturne pick continued to show its worth, snowballing fights for the enemy team time and time and time and time again. Though the highlight of the run would have to be the fantastic teamfight where DFM looked like they were actually going to kill Splice, only to perfectly stack up for Xayah and Kennan's ults to wipe them. This run would end with an in-game time of just 26 minutes and 29 seconds, faster than Ascension's fastest game in their world record run. It seemed that they may immediately take the record for themselves. However, their first game against Isurus was a terrible 39 minutes and 27 seconds.
Oh, that's bad.
This put them seriously behind pace, so for their second game against Splice, they tried for a quick win line, Evie's specialty. And while Evie did gap Splice handedly, their time was still over 33 minutes.
No,
at this point, the run was dead, requiring a sub 10-minute game to get the record, essentially undoable. But they could still try for a respectable time. However, their final game would set a record, just not one any of them were looking for. This final game against Isurus would be a horrendous 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 24 seconds long.
Bro, I'm so happy I wasn't co-streaming back then. Imagine what co-streaming 2019 Worlds would have been. Actually, to be fair, I did. This is the first tournament I live viewed. This is the first tournament I ever live viewed. I live viewed Worlds, group stage, and then playoffs. And I had 1K viewers. This is back when I was averaging 4 or 5K playing the game. And I had 1K viewers during that. And for some reason, my chat was more active with 1K than it used to be when I had 4K. And then when co-streaming started the next year, it just started popping off for me. It's crazy.
The longest single game in any airport speedrun I've seen, and one of the longest games played at Worlds ever.
Now, I swear to God, playing the game is so dead, though. Like, I was looking at the Twitch section. I was looking at, like, the most watched League streamers. Let's see. Like, when I was watching, like, Drudut and people like that play, like, unless you're doing streamer tournaments, it's, like, completely f***ed. If you're not one of the biggest streamers on the platform and doing streamer tournaments, you're completely f***ed, bro. It is just completely doomed for you.
2 hours, 42 minutes, and 58 seconds would certainly not be good enough to beat Ascension's record, but there were still others ready to do better. One of the favorites to get the record would be Southeast Asia's Mega, as it was made up of the top, jungle, and mid from Ascension, plus a new Korean bot lane duo.
Okay.
However, calling their run mediocre would be generous, as they didn't play a single game for less than 34 minutes. People were beginning to worry. If the current record holders themselves couldn't even come close, that didn't bode well for future runners, and people started to get desperate. 2019 would conclude with a run from Brazil's own Flamengo Esports, and the first run from the CBLOL superstar BRTT. This run may not seem that special from the outside, but it's easily one of the most important speedruns in the category's history. This is due in large part to their second game in the run, where they decided to go for a quick win against Turkey's Royal Youth. This game was an incredible stomp, due in large part to BRTT getting his signature Draven, and a truly inspiring Lee Sin game from Shrimp. The CBLOL powerhouse was
able to... synergy right there, bro. The fucking Lee Sin kick Q gets missed because Draven axes him out. I like it.
Secure a 24-minute and 14-second win, the fastest single game in the category up to that point. Following that game with another sub-30 game made it seem like they had a decent chance, but a 40-minute Game 4 and an unfortunate tiebreaker meant that Flamengo's run would total 2 hours, 30 minutes...
tiebreaker, just bro. Tiebreaker is just so doomed.
50 seconds. However, Game 2 would forever stick in the minds of speedrunners, as it showed what could be possible with a quick win strat if you had the skill to back it up. Unfortunately, most runners didn't seem to have...
The thing is, you need to get a quick win over a team that's better than you. That's the hardest part about the quick win strat, because you have to quickly beat them so you get an easier opponent, and then versus that easier opponent you have to like turbo int. So it's like a combination, but it can definitely work. I understand where this guy's coming from.
Have the skills necessary, and worse yet, their flippant use of the strat led to many run-killing tiebreakers. This period would later be known in the community as the tiebreaker apocalypse. The apocalypse would continue into the next year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to hope that the team also plays against another team. You have to hope that the team that is bad against you don't go, what is it? The team that's bad against you, that you don't go 1-1 and lose to everyone else. You got to hope that they beat other teams.
Esports and Brazil's INTZ. Neither team had the same star power as previous runners like Evi or BRTT, and their quick wins were honestly laughable. V3's quick win was their very first game, and one of their longest games in the run at exactly 35 minutes. Even without their tiebreaker, they weren't on pace. INTZ was even worse, with their
V3 Boogie
quick win against NA's Team Liquid being 36 minutes long. Granted, if Tactical was playing Tristana, they would have likely beaten TL in under 25.
Right? Just on a flame. I like that. Yeah, this was an embarrassing loss. I remember this loss.
Their total runtime...
I remember at this point, I was like the biggest Broxa hater in 2020. And he was really popular in the community. And then I think in 2021, people started seeing what I was seeing. But like Broxa would just like AFK every game, bro. Like he never did anything, it felt like, in the games.
Would eclipse 3 hours. An embarrassing showing that's better left forgotten. 2021 wasn't much better, with Unicorns of Love using the quick win strat against soon-to-be classic world record holder Cloud9 for a respectable 25-minute and 40-second game. But it was the last game of their group, so they easily could have known it would have caused a tiebreaker. Granted, without the tiebreaker, they were still 5 minutes behind the record, but it would have been the first sub-2 hour run since Ascension's run in 2018.
Damn.
Thankfully, the newly unified Latin American region sent a team called Infinity, who opted for the safer no-win strat. However, they never really found their footing and only managed a 2 hour, 1 minute, and 46 seconds.
That's not bad though. That's only 7 minutes above the world record. Like, that's a pretty f***ing good time.
Run. At this point, it seemed certain that these quick win strats were just fundamentally flawed, but just as it seemed like runners were finally going to try other strategies, Riot did what they do best. Messed everything up.
Yeah, I made more games, bro.
Unlike with the main stage, the play-in stage of Worlds was fairly consistent during the entirety of the speedrun category. The only major format change was in 2020, when they changed from 4 groups of 3 to 2 groups of 5.
Bro, Kingen played this like such ass. This is the year they ran world they won Worlds. Look at how Kingen plays the situation.
Was in 2020, when they changed from 4 groups to run category.
Q1,
the only major format change.
He misses Q2 on Elyoya instead of on Kaiser, so that means that like obviously he's just not going to kill the guy, then he gets CC'd.
When they changed from 4 groups of 3 to 2 groups of
Ult's late. Ugh.
5. However, along with this change came a switch from double round robin to single round robin.
And then he just won Worlds this year.
The total number of games needed to get to the airport and fly home was still
Zika was just on insane amounts of cocaine.
Still just 4. But 2022 brought another set of changes, and certain current events meant that play-ins were now 2 groups of 6. This unfortunately meant that teams now had to play at least 5 games to get to the airport.
Yeah, it's over.
Meaning that to even challenge the record, teams would have to shave an average of 5.5 minutes off of each of their games. This essentially killed the runs for this year.
The thing is, it killed the runs for this year, but like in the future years, it's actually pretty good for runs because the main stage, you can go 0-4 and lose in the main stage. And the thing is, when you play in the main stage, you play against better teams, so the games are likely to be shorter. So I feel like there's probably a 2023 or 2024 run in there that ends up being really good. Like who went 0-4? Team Liquid. No, Team Liquid won a game, so they're not out. Wait, who? If I were to predict who is going to be the 0-4 king, Mad Lions won a game, so they're not in. Pain is going to be close. Pain's got to be close. With their no. Pain played some long games against TL. No, they're not close. TL won a game. Is it BDS? No way, BDS, right?
Here, but that wouldn't stop speedrunners from trying to make the most of it in hopes for a better format in the future. The first run was submitted by the PCS's Beyond Gaming, who went for a quick win in games.
Oh, with with the guy who was win trading, fixing games for tits.
1 and 4. These games were their fastest, with Game 4 being just over 25 minutes long.
Their mid laner was intentionally match fixing games for tits. Nice.
This game was played against the LCO's Chiefs Esports Club.
And it was like catfish tits as well? Damn.
Would submit a run of their own this year. This game featured Beyond subbing in Liang in the top lane, more of a carry player than their other top laner Lee Kai. However, they drafted Aatrox for him, which seemed to go against their quick win strat, as Liang had a 27% win rate with Aatrox at the time. They did make it work, but the total runtime at the end of their final game was 2 hours, 39 minutes, and 15 seconds. Chiefs were having a bit better luck overall, going for a simple no-win strategy, a staple of Oceania's. In fact, when combined with MSI, the LCO went a combined 0-13 internationally.
0-13. And I remember this. I remember them going 0-13. I had them at the bottom of my tier list. And there was like an OCE caster that went off on me on Twitter. I should have made clips of this shit back then. An OCE caster went off on me. It's like, yeah, it's like sick that like some of like the biggest content creators are saying that we're just like terrible. They don't even watch our region. They're like, if they did, they would know that we're actually really good this year. And they just went 0-13. That shit was actually so funny. I was like, yeah, I don't watch the region. I even said that when I did my tier list. I'm like, I'm probably just gonna put them here because I just expect them to be bad based off like results that they've had, but I don't actually watch the region, so I don't really give a fuck. I even said that when I made the prediction, but the guy was super triggered that I put them last, and then they just got last.
Here, very impressive.
That was crazy.
You can really see their expert play on full display, when at 11 minutes into their game, Arthur gave over a frame-perfect drag steal to Inspired.
Perfect.
This whole run really shows that if not ruined by the format, Chiefs really could have had a good shot at winning the title.
100%.
But with a final time of 2 hours, 20 minutes,
what was their average though?
8 seconds, the record would not be theirs. Chiefs weren't the only ones making waves this year though. The LLA's Isurus were also putting on a show. Their whole run was pretty impressive outside of their first game, which went almost 40 minutes, but their game against DRX would steal the show. While the game was mostly just Isurus giving over advantage after advantage to eventual tournament winners DRX, the sheer speed and consistency of it was something not seen since the Ascension run. Blowing Flash to 50-50 red buff, some well misplayed tower dives, overcommitting to fights with no vision, and using a zero ult against a Yone ready to recast E, all of it was coming together beautifully. The whole affair was over in just 22 minutes and 34 seconds, one of the fastest games I've ever seen and the fastest single game in any airport any % run up to that point. However, they still couldn't overcome the new format, and in the end, they had a total in-game time of 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 52 seconds.
Bro, that's still above the average game time that was originally set. So like this is not it's not even that good of a run, to be honest. I think this guy is overhyping the run. Like game per game, this is not even that good of a run. They had one fast game, but that 40-minute game killed them, bro.
The final run of the year,
like 30-minute game average almost,
would be submitted by Turkey's Istanbul
29-minute game average, not good enough.
While their run was nothing special, their game versus DRX was seriously one of the best games of League of Legends I've ever watched. Despite how entertaining it was, Wildcats' run would be the worst of the year, totaling 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 1 second long.
Yeah.
And so we'd have to wait yet another year for a chance at a new world record.
Okay, are we considering Golden Guardians an airport speedrun?
With 2023, Riot yet again changed the play-ins format, this time completely removing the group stage. Instead, there would be 2 simultaneous double elimination best-of-3 brackets that would feed 2 final qualifier matches. As a result, there would be a much larger variability in the number of games played by each team. This would also completely eliminate the fast win strategy, as winning a game would just mean you'd have to play more games overall. So the best strategy would be to quickly go 0 and 2 twice, once again meaning you would only have to play 4 games.
Yep.
This made beating the record a realistic goal once again. But before we get to that, we need to address a notable exploit discovered this year. You see, due to an oversight in the way the tournament was set up, 2 teams, one each from the LCS and LEC, were able to play in a best-of-5 Worlds qualifier series. This allowed NA's very own Golden Guardians, known for being one of the best teams at losing in LCS history, to find a historic credit warp. The GG credit warp allowed Golden Guardians to go 0 and 3 in their series, dropping out of Worlds before it even really started. Their total in-game time was just 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 16 seconds. But because it happened a day before Worlds even officially began, they technically recorded a time of negative 13 hours, 35 minutes, and 44 seconds. Obviously, this would blow Ascension's record out of the water. However, there were some problems. First of all, if allowed, this run would necessitate the reframing of all times, as tracking negative times would become frustrating. Second, it's unclear if any teams would ever be able to access this qualifier series again due to it being an oversight. And third, many runners felt it was unfair, since only an LCS and an LEC team were allowed to participate.
Yeah.
All of this led to the decision to disqualify the GG credit.
Yeah, it's disqualified. They should have known that. They should have known that it was going to be disqualified. Like, I could have told them that it was going to be disqualified.
Warp from the run, even though a few in the community still felt it should have been considered fair game. Either way, you can't deny that Golden Guardians created history, and immediately following it by dissolving their organization was a serious power move. Getting back to the qualifying runs for this year, due to the format of the event, there would only be 2 speedruns submitted that seemed competitive. The first would come from the LLA's own R7. They began their run with a quick 0-2 versus the PCS's PSG Talon that took less than an hour in total, but the run really started to look impressive in their first game versus Vietnam's Gambit Esports. The game did seem to start off a little rocky, with their long fight around 3 minutes resulting in both Adi and Miru barely surviving while getting a double kill with First Blood. However, Miru was able to correct this before 10 minutes by giving a shutdown over to Kadi. Soon after, they used a Rift Herald play to extend so far under tower that Silver top laners started taking notes, resulting in a 1-for-3 that cost them their own towers instead. Following up with some truly inspirational plays, like just walking into a Baron fight to die, essentially sealed the deal, opening up the base for Gam to end. At this point, their run was 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 9 seconds.
Bro, so they only need a 29-minute game and they beat the record. Only 29 minutes?
And with 1 game left to play, they need to do it in 25 minutes or less.
Oh, 25? Oh yeah, 25.
Tough challenge, but by no means impossible.
I thought it was 159.
Their final game started out fairly slow and methodical, but by the 14-minute mark, they began to turn it up, with a very sudden and very deep tower dive, making this play somewhat of a signature of theirs. Following up with another play where they all just run towards an objective fight to die, it was beginning to look like they were going to rely on many of their most common strategies to finish off their run. However, their more passive play in between objectives and tower dives was beginning to lose them time. So when they tried for a final game-ending teamfight around Dragon, they were devastated when they weren't able to lose definitively enough to allow Gam to push and end the game. This led R7 to panic, trying to improvise more plays to lose.
This is probably the worst part, bro. This is probably the worst as a speedrunner, you know? When you get to the end of the run and then you mess up something that you know you can do well, something that you've done a million times before and you just f*** it up.
The game. But unfortunately, R7's playstyle was never really about improvisation. It was about doing what they did best, over and over again. So as they passed the 25-minute mark in game, they knew their run was over. Their final time was 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 16 seconds. 6 minutes and 6 seconds longer than the record. This was devastating for the LLA, whose fans desperately wanted their region to finally achieve something truly great. But this year would not be for them. The other run this year would be from Detonation Focus Me. The LJL powerhouse was back yet again to try and take Ascension's record. Though they were still without Evie, they had a new secret weapon in the top lane. You see, after qualifying for Worlds, DFM...
Oh, they brought in like the 30-year-old guy.
...benched their ADC and moved Iwdominate off of top lane and back to bot, all so they could make room for the one and only Appiman. Appiman was a 31-year-old retired top laner and father, and soon the oldest player to ever play at Worlds. Appiman had more practice as a speedrunner than any other, as he has to finish games quickly so he can go take care of his child. Despite these advantages, DFM had a rough start to their run, with their first series taking just over an hour to complete.
Wait, is that like, I feel like that's the equivalent of a PED. When it comes to any percent speed run categories, like I would say that I don't know if that should be allowed.
However, their second series would be against Europe's BDS. Typically, facing a major region while you're trying to complete a speedrun would give runners high hopes, especially as BDS had just assisted in Golden Guardian's discovery of the GG credit warp. However, BDS had just managed to lose versus the VCS's second seed, and with what we now know of the competitive integrity of the VCS, that is even more concerning. While Game 1 wasn't awful, with DFM managing to lose in 26 minutes and 54 seconds, it still meant that their final game needed to be less than 22 minutes long. This would be even faster than Isurus' record-breaking game, and likely secure them a spot in the top 10 shortest Worlds games of all time. However, BDS's playstyle would make this run harder than one might expect. Like when Sheo decided to dance around in the enemy jungle and take a tower shot for no reason. Arya tried to get DFM back on track by going for a true classic, just running it down mid. However, in an extreme misplay, Steel just barely saved Arya's life, denying Cassiopeia the kill. DFM were professionals though, and wouldn't let a few mistakes ruin their run. Just moments later, Harp would come mid to force a 3v3 that would result in DFM going 1 for 2. By 7 minutes, they had fed Sheo 4 kills, but with only about 14 minutes left to get the record, they were going to need to turn it up. Well, they weren't done yet. DFM quickly forced a dragon fight that they would lose without really even putting up any resistance. But BDS were just not taking towers, so DFM went for one final game-losing play. They sent 3 people to fight Crowny next to his mid tower, resulting in him getting an easy double kill before dying, all while leaving Iwdominate to 1v4 at top tower. With their defense non-existent and an open inhib turret, DFM just had to wait for the call of the Herald. And they heard it, but when they looked at the map, it was in mid lane. BDS used it to break the mid-tier 1, and with that, it was all over. As the 22-minute mark passed, DFM knew they would not be the ones to beat Ascension. They decided to go out with a flashy teamfight at 27 minutes to sign off their run, giving Crowny his first pentakill that wasn't on Zeri. So basically the first one that counts. And with that ended the last chance to beat Ascension in 2023. So that brings us to 2024, the last chapter in the quest to beat Ascension. Once again, there were 2 decent run attempts.
This is actually insanely well-made video. I am very impressed. I gotta look at this guy's channel after. This is an insane video.
Made this year, the first coming from Vietnam's Vikings Esports. Vikings' first series would be against the LEC's Mad Lions Koi, and it didn't start off well. The game seemed to be full of split calls and half commits, leading to a very messy game overall and a very poor time of 36 minutes and 53 seconds as a result. Game 2 started off much better, with Cody walking back into a fight to die with flash up for no reason. However, the rest of the game was still fairly mediocre, and even worse, it seemed that Mirren was trying as hard as he could to submit his own speedrun, with or without his team. All this led to Vikings' time already being over an hour by the end of their first series, so they would need a miracle against Pain Gaming to turn their run around. Unfortunately, their
double 25-minute games, almost impossible.
First game against Pain seemed even more confused than their games against Mad Lions. At one point, they nearly lost a major fight to Nico ult, only for Shogun to turn it, but then 5 minutes later they got wiped the exact same play. This game would once again go over 30 minutes long, and with that, their run was essentially over.
Yeah.
They'd have to win their next game in about 5 minutes to get the record at this point, which would be 2.5 minutes faster than the fastest professional game ever, which had a player DC. The game still had some fun moments, like Shogun showing off his fancy feat, and Weiser flashing into 1v3 and winning. However, this run would in no way be competitive. And so Vikings Esports would not be the ones to beat Ascension. This left it all down to the final run of the year. Coming from the PCS and the LJL before that, was Japan's own SoftBank Hawks.
Ooh.
And who else could it be in top lane but any percent veteran Evi, here again one last time to try and take back his record 7 years later. Hawks' first series would be against the VCS's Gambit Esports. Their strategy for the series would be simple, yet incredibly effective. Hawks studied Riot's official champion power ranking closely and devised a foolproof plan. They allowed Gam to draft the newest champion in the game. While their strategy began with Aurora, it didn't end there, as Hawks still made some incredibly unique plays throughout Game 1. Like Forrest dashing into Poppy W so he could die with Vista.
Forrest is so bad. This guy is fucking terrible.
For the whole game, they just continued to steadily trickle gold.
But I mean, look, if you're an any percent runner, that's exactly who you want, bro.
Well, beautiful Dragon Leash practically sealed the deal. And something that shouldn't go unmentioned is Hawks making sure that none of the damage coming from the enemy Jhin ever went to waste. This game was a good start, getting a time of just 27 minutes and 52 seconds,
like, okay,
but the next one was even better. Once again, Hawks let Aurora through, and this time they made sure to snowball her as early as possible. But after starting the game by giving Aurora a triple, Hawks' run began to get...
I think I low-key bet on the Hawks this game. Like, dude, Worlds, we had a crazy run, but the play-in stage, bro, I think I was actually losing in the play-in stage.
Strange. Getting all the early objectives...
Or maybe I was up like half a unit in the play-in stage, bro. I was losing in the play-in stage. This shit was hard.
Getting Dasher as fed as possible, and then denying his bounty, not to mention Vista revealing that he is secretly Emo's biggest fan by never leaving him alone once, and then Evi going as far as to solo kill the 5-1 newest champ in the game. This would leave people scratching their heads, as this looked like Hawks starting to win the game.
Okay, and Bessa is so broken, it makes me realize, like, it makes me feel like Aurora was balanced on release.
However, it would quickly be revealed that this was just Hawks showing off. They knew there would be no way to win a game versus the newest champ, and so this was them demonstrating just how foolproof their plan really was. All it would take was a dragon fight where Ashe flashes into the middle of 3 enemies and a Jhin ult, followed by a demonstration of exactly how new Aurora is, and Hawks would lose game 2 in just 26 minutes and 49 seconds.
That's good time. So what are they at? 53? 53? They got time, bro. They can do it, bro. They can do it.
Even faster than game 1.
So what? They need like under 57?
With their first series done, Evi was already looking to get a new PB for the first time in 7 years, but Hawks would have to keep up the pace if they wanted to finally dethrone Ascension. However, their second series looked like it could be a bit trickier, as it would be against 100 Thieves.
Usually 100 Thieves coming off a loss to Lion Gaming. Or not Lion Gaming, whatever the fuck the LLA team was called. What were they called this year? R7?
An airport speedrunner would be happy to face off against any
R7?
major region team, even from NA, as an LCS team had
they now have merged into Lion Gaming.
Never failed to make it out of play-ins in the history of Worlds. But this time was different, as 100 Thieves had just made history as the first team to ever lose a series to the LLA at Worlds, and the first major region team to lose to the LLA in a series in any international event.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they even managed to lose a game with Aurora, something that Hawks had built their strategy around being impossible. However, Hawks were good, and they were willing to take risks. And so, perhaps inspired by 100 Thieves, they decided to see if they could lose with Aurora as well, drafting it for Evi in game 1. This game started off fairly slowly though, with First Blood only coming in around 9 minutes. And in teamfights, Hawks seemed disjointed, confused, and indecisive. Eventually, they did get a decent teamfight, giving over Baron and 4 kills, allowing 100 Thieves to start taking
that's a horrible game time
towers.
though.
Soon after, Hawks fully committed to a losing teamfight, all while giving Renekton free access to their base. This game would prove that it's not just 100 Thieves that can lose with Aurora. The game would end at 31 minutes and 30 seconds. Not as good as their previous times, but they weren't out yet. Game 4 would have to be their quickest yet, but they were up to the challenge. It would all come down to this. Hawks knew they had perhaps gotten too confident when
What's the time that they need? Somebody add it all up for me. A what, like 27-minute one?
So they wouldn't risk it for Game 4, banning it to also make sure that 100 Thieves couldn't lose with it themselves. This game would, however, show off another interesting pick from Evie, top lane Rek'Sai. Evie's Rek'Sai is something special, as shown by his incredible ability to tank 3 tower shots for some reason. And later, he managed to bait his own team. Ability to tank.
Bro, why can't we just say that Evie is a dog shit player? Why in this community do we have to be like, he's nice and that makes him good, and if you don't like him, you're racist? Like, why can't we just be honest about the fact that he's a dog shit player?
3 tower shots for some reason. And later, he managed to bait his own team into a horrific teamfight, going 0 for 2. But this game would be more defined by 100 Thieves' comp, with them having Nocturne Orianna, a combo known for having a nasty interaction with their ults, allowing Orianna to ult people from 3 screens away. 100 Thieves themselves had lost a game to R7 playing this exact combo. This plan paid off, with 14,000 gold over their opponents and a Baron buff to boot. 100 Thieves began their march into Hawks' base. However, a messy teamfight next to an open nexus caused 100 Thieves to falter, and while they did bring it back under control, Hawks may have made a grave error. As the game came to an end, everyone was wondering, did they break the record?
Oh, that 31 kills you, bro. No! No, bro!
They were less than 2 minutes off. The quest to beat Ascension had ended in failure.
Oh, that's a killer, bro. That's a killer.
What more is there to say about the Airport Any% speedrun? A speedrun dominated by those attempting flashy, complex plays or risky runs prone to losing records. A speedrun often distorted by changes made by those in charge of running the tournament where they're performed. A speedrun still held to this day by a relatively unknown 2018 Southeast Asian team that wasn't flashy or risky, but just showed 5 guys doing what they do best. It's not inconceivable, it's probably even likely, that someday someone will beat Ascension's record. There's no big success story yet, but stay tuned, because one day that story will be written. The only question is, who's going to be the author? This is the history of the League of Legends World Championship Airport Any%. Thanks for watching.
Bro, what an insane video. Let me like the video first, and then I'm gonna go other places. This is like one of the best videos I've seen in League of Legends, bro. This is literally for me, this is a top video ever made in League of Legends. Only 5 videos, a couple of them are shorts. History of this, okay. How North America creates the best esports speedrunners. And this other one, the history of the LOL Airport world records. Damn, bro. That's like one of the best videos I've seen. That's one of the best videos I've seen. Like, I with the humor in it, but also like the pacing of it, the way that it was consistent, the idea. I think the thing that I care most about, bro, like having a really creative idea and then sticking to it. Like the idea that this guy came up with is fucking great, by the way. Like the idea of, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to like have this video be about the airport speed runs. Like it's a meme that people talk about, and we're gonna extrapolate this onto like, you know, history. We're going to have a consistent way of phrasing everything throughout the video to match the tone. Like, I don't know, bro. I just thought the whole presentation of it was just insane. This is insane video, bro. God damn. I wish I came up with that idea.